This is Alec, your Dark Island guide, here today for this live stream walking tour of Greenock. So just now I'm standing outside the Custom House in Greenock, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm down by the riverside, and we've got some absolutely breathtaking views to show you here. And I'll just walk over to the waterside. We can see a big sort of iron lamppost there. This is known as the Beacon. It was built in the 19th century, I think quite early or mid 19th century. I believe that boats actually used to tie, or moor themselves to the beacon. So here we are at the water's edge, looking over to my left hand side. We can see the cranes of the Peel Ports container depot, and this is also where the cruise ships come in. At this time of year I'd normally be working, on the cruise ships. They come in, mainly Americans and Canadians, and they come off the boat, they go into buses now that take them off to Edinburgh, Stirling Castle, places like that. But sadly not this year, so hence I'm doing these walking tours. The other thing I'd like to mention about there, I'll give you a look round while I'm talking, but this is also where the boat, the Queen Mary, came in during the Second World War. It brought American GIs and Canadian GIs, before somebody pulls me up too, here, and then they were, they were sent by train off to down south to get posted to wherever they were going. That's the Custom House, that big neoclassical building. It was built in 1821. I seem to remember. The Custom House, that's where ship captains would have to come in and pay their dues when they landed here. It's no longer a custom house. It holds offices, I believe. If you look over there's a big sort of glass building. This is the Beacon Centre, and it's a big art centre and arts venue. It was built 2013, and it was formerly the Greenock Arts Guild. They had premises elsewhere in the town, but marvellous venue. £10 million cost to build that venue. So there you go. So let's walk on. But yeah, out in that direction, don't know how well we can see it, but there's the William Arnold crane, built in 1917. It's one of only 4 hammerhead cranes left on the river, and very much a reminder of our shipbuilding past. Many famous ships have been built here on the River Clyde. The Queen Mary I mentioned earlier on. The Cutty Sark, the QE2, the Hood, the Comet, the world's first passenger steamship. It was built in Port Glasgow, just down the road from here. All the shipyards are closed in Greenock now. I think there's only 3 shipyards on the Clyde. There's one left in Port Glasgow, the Ferguson shipyard. That makes ferries nowadays. So, just let me turn around and give you a wee view of the Customs House back there. There's the anchor and the Customs House. So, let's crack on. There's a rather wonderful sculpture just behind me here. It's called Ginger, and it's by an artist called Andy Scott. He's a very well known artist. He's done lots of sculptures, not just in Scotland but all over the world nowadays. He started out with a studio in Maryhill in the west end of Glasgow, and I think he's living in California nowadays. But his most famous work would be the Kelpies, which are big horses' heads. It's very famous, very well known tourist attraction here in Scotland. So Greenock Station, it dates from 1841, amazingly. Really, really early. The Greenock to Glasgow railway opened up then, so you see there's a big arch, a series of arches. That's part of the, I'm sure that must be part of the original building. It would have had a roof at one time. Greenock at one time was a very, very, very busy station. You know, people used to, back in the Victorian days, people would come to Greenock from Glasgow. They were getting steamboats and going cruises. There's a pub or a bar there. The James Watt, I don't know if you can see the picture. James Watt was a famous engineer. But yeah, James Watt invented the separate condenser for the steam engine. He didn't invent the steam engine. You sometimes get the credit with that, but that wasn't him. That was someone called Newcomen, an English gentleman. Yeah, your light bulbs, that's rated in watts, named after James Watt, perhaps the most famous of Greenockians. Now, we're kind of in the shade, but up here we have a statue of James Watt himself, the man himself. I'll try and get out the sun for you. So there you go, you see him, James Watt, he's holding some kind of measuring or surveying device in his hand and has a notepad taking his notes. So there you go, James Watt. Right, so we're going to head back up towards the kirk of the church there. Here we are, there's the kirk. This lovely church here. It's West Mid Park Church, I think's the name. I'll give you a good look at it. Gorgeous building. Built in the 18th century, very, very old. A couple of interesting things here. We have some sculpture. This used to be a Clydesdale bank. This building, we can see a sailing ship up there. That's denoting the town's connection with the trading connections with the Americas. We'll talk more about that in a second. There's another sculpture up here. It looks like, what's this? Somebody in a car walking past there, a bit fast. Sorry about that. So, yeah, it looks big iron boat. It's almost like a submarine. Not quite sure what that is, but yeah, we're not far from Glasgow, and in the 18th century, Glasgow grew to be a big town through the trade with the American colonies. Things like sugar, tobacco, rum, and slaves too. If we tell the truth, were traded, and many merchants, often called tobacco lords, became fabulously wealthy. So I'll give you another look at the Clydesdale Bank building there in the sunset. Is that not gorgeous? Lovely red sandstone. There you go. The Oak Mall. There is a story that Greenock, named Greenock, it comes from green oak. Apparently not true. It's either for Gaelic, or Gaelic if you like. Green means sun and croc means hill. So Sun Hill, certainly sunny today. Or perhaps from the old Cumbric or Brythonic language. Greenock, I can't speak that language, it's no one speaks that language nowadays. It's only know about it through place names actually. I know very, very little about that language, but I reckon it means gravelly, so there we go. The Oak Mall. shopping centre. It's closed up today. Closed up for a while. In fact, there's a song called the Green Oak Tree. There we go. You can see me for a second again. And I learnt it yesterday. I might forget it, but it goes a bit like this. There is, I'll sing a song about a tune. It stands upon the Clyde. And every time I think of it, my heart is filled with pride. My mother often tells us, as I sat upon her knee, that Greenock got its name frae the green oak tree. There you go, it came back to me. It's built, and in fact still serves as the headquarters for the council we call it, which is the local or municipal government, Inverclyde Council, home of Inverclyde Council. So that's a Victoria Tower. It was built in the 19th century, and very distinctive feature, monument, I guess. Now, before we go over, there's I don't know if you'll see this, there's a big monument here. It's commemorating the shipbuilding, the men that worked in the shipyards back in the day. They're pulling a big propeller. I'll just jump off the wall here. There we go. We'll get a view from this side. There's a big propeller, and there's these 3 guys hauling it. So, yeah. And there's a little plaque here, if you can see that. It says, Men of the Clyde. The statue represents the industrious Greenock, and unveiled in May 1975. Designed by Yomi Hunt. Sculpture Malcolm Robertson. So, there you go. Got a marvellous view of the fountain here. There's some shields, coats of arms up there. Now I'm going to have a quick look down this street. There's 1 or 2 interesting things to show you down here. It's a bit shadier down here. There's a rather lovely old building across the road there. It's hazard, I guess, and say it's 18th century, but we have a plaque up here. The Dutch gable house. I was going to say Baroque. It's Dutch style, built in 1755. There you go. It's bang on. By the National Trust of Scotland, blah de blah. Right, it doesn't say too much about it, but marvellous old building. We have some kind of plaque in the floor on the ground here, so let's have a look at that. William Street, oldest street in Greenock, birthplace of James Watt, who I was just talking about. Scotland's prolific inventor. His improvements to the steam engine were key to the world's first industrial revolution. So there you go, James Watt. There's a bar across the road. It's closed just now, of course. The Old Bank Bar. And up above it, it says Greenock Provident, so that's insurance company. Now, lovely old building here. We'll try and well, I'll show you the date first. Here's that, 1752. There's a little monument here I'd like to show you, and it's a Radical War Memorial, and rather sad story actually of a event that happened here in 1820. Now there was a general strike in 1820. The weavers and other tradesmen went on strike, and in fact there was an attempted insurrection. They wanted to have a revolution. I'll just get a bit closer. And yeah, their cause was they wanted greater democracy and a reformed parliament. You know, it was just like posh males at the parliament at that time. Yeah, they had this attempted insurrection, and it didn't come off, and you know, a lot of the ringleaders were rounded up. 3 in particular were executed: Baird, Hardy and Wilson, and the rest of them were getting sent to Botany Bay. Now, many of them get imprisoned in Paisley prison, and it was full up, so they were transporting 9 radical prisoners to the prison in Greenock. And well, when they arrived in Greenock, you know, these soldiers playing the drums and the fifes apparently at the same time, parading into the town, and the local Greenockians, they attacked them with bottles and stones. Nevertheless, the soldiers ploughed on and they got to the prison. Now, what happened afterwards was rather tragic. On their way back out of the town, the soldiers were ordered to turn and fire at the crowd, and 9 people were killed, sadly, including an 8-year-old boy. So, in fact, there's a plaque up here. I'll show you this plaque. So there you go. This plaque was erected by the Riverview players in memory of the citizens who died in the massacre in Cart Street in 1820. There you go, James McGill, aged 8. And there were 17-year-old James Kerr, 15-year-old William Lindsay. Sad business indeed. So, and well, the last part of the story was a little while later, the angry mob, they burst into prison, and they freed the radical prisoners, and they were never seen again. So anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure to be your guide tonight, and thanks everyone. So anyway, I think I'm going to finish up for this evening. So anyway, whatever you are, stay very, very safe. Okay, bye for now, or as we say in the Gaelic, cheery and drasta.